All our advertisers. Contact rcsales@gov.ky or get in touch with your account executive to learn more.
So you're really not going to tell us?
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Let's do a couple of things, though. Let's start it off by design, not by default, deliberately, to set up a time for some discourse. So through meaningful dialogue and discussion, let's have some open line. So you can share your thoughts with us. We're going to do that until 1:30. And then at 1:30, Miss Tiffany Connolly, as she say, one N and two legs, CONOLLY. She's going to join us. Hopefully Ali Banks comes with her as well. Looking forward to that discussion, but that's 1:30. So between now and then, let's have some open line and see if you can help me to either stay on the right path, to stir the pot so that the stew gets even better. Well, we might sip the tea. We might just share the love. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us as we invite you to be part of the discussion. And we are trying, intently to ensure that you have as much access to the airwaves as possible. This is a station that's owned by the people of the country for the benefit of the country, and we're glad that the taxpayers' funds are being utilized in such a wonderful, wonderful way. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne. How you doing?
Listen, I am grateful, and I hope and pray that I always remain gracious and grateful. How are you?
I am blessed.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah. Still poor, sober, and ugly, but blessed.
Well, once you're under that,
under God's loving yoke.
Yeah, that's all that matters, man.
Yes,
under that loving yoke, man.
Yes, man.
I recognize, I certainly appreciate you sharing and going to set the stage for discussions as well. But I recognize that we live in an interesting time, and I do appreciate that sometimes in an attempt to be objective and impartial. Now, I will say not neutral, and I will say that to invite others to guide me, offer up correction if possible. And why I say not neutral is because I have some good friends who love cars, and I would watch them as they would. So, unlike you, who would, when they service their cars and they would tune the engine and they would do the little thing and they would want to listen to sounds.
Them up and that clutch.
Yeah, man. But before they do that, right, it's in neutral, right? And you hear the wonderful sound of the engine and, as it emits from the exhaust, and you hear that,
But like we used to say, purring like a kitten.
Purring like a kitten. And you can redline her, baby. But if she's in neutral, all going to eventually happen if you were to do that, in my mind anyway, you got to burn up the engine. You got to do some damage, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to move forward or backwards, you got to engage the gear.
You got to engage it, yep.
Right? So I don't see the point in being neutral. You can be impartial. You can be objective. It's like riding the fence, right?
Yep.
You only get sore, Bobo.
Yes. So
Just a thought.
you need to put a saddle on it.
Hi. Something comes to mind for sure.
I tell you. What I calling about is the appeal to the vaccinations today. Sterling doing it, it's 25 persons now that have lost their life to COVID.
Yeah. Well, it's as reported, right?
Some, yes, some could not have been avoided because they've had other issues as well that would have made them succumbed anyway. But that is one too many.
One death is too many, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It could have been avoided.
Mm-hmm.
And we have many people that you would say, I call it stubbornness and ignorance.
Possible.
The vaccine has been proven for over a year now that it does help.
But if I can ask, right, and this is where I think someone like you, not just with your intellect and your courageous sort of perspective, but because my perspective of you is that you are willing to listen to other and hear what they have to say, and whether you agree or not, to be able to show that level of respect for the right to express an opinion, right? So I value people like you in our society. That what makes us healthy, right?
Right.
Let me ask a couple of things, because this is a very, very interesting time in history, and there are all sorts of things. And I probably, like you, have witnessed where some people have lost friendships, they've had divided households, and more so than if it was a political sort of perspective, right? So, in speaking to whether the vaccination is what it is and as effective and so on, and people's perspective on it, is it two things that maybe needs further sort of consideration? One is this whole thing of freedom of choice, not that it's probably of the same level of importance as a woman's right to choose how she decides to do when it comes to her decisions relative to taking the child to term or what have you, right? But should not a person have the right to choose if they want something or not, especially if they can say to the physician in an emergency or even beforehand in writing, give instructions, even if at that point in time they wish they hadn't? Hey, listen, if this happens to me, don't go no further. I don't want no more chemo. I don't want you to do this. So if that exists, should it not be the same in this instance? Please don't give me that. I take my chances. You can get it. It'll protect you. But if it's not for me, if it's a democracy.
Sterling, Dwayne, that's quite true. You have a choice. And I'm not trying to take that choice away from anyone. I'm only making an appeal.
No, I respect that.
Because I have had family members that passed away because of it. Healthy family members. I've had friends, schoolmates that have passed away. Out of those 25.
Yeah, man. I
it hurts.
Yeah, it does.
And when you look at a person and see them in a state that they can't catch their breath or they can't breathe, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing that you or any medical person can do. All you can do is just sit there and watch them suffer to the last. That is not easy.
No, man. And as I listen to you, this brings me to the second thing: trust. The fact that we've seen through the international bodies that supposedly competent and credible comments coming from them that seem to contradict, and then the PR, so to speak, whether it's the irresponsibleness of our comments, or if it's the inadequacy of our reporting, or if it's the malicious intent, whatever it is, right? It causes some to say, well, wait a minute, this was said this time, that was saying, and the fact is they're saying, well, as things unfold and we get more information and data and evidence and what have you, then we learn more. That in itself is a contradiction. If they're giving you something that they say, well, we probably need to wait and see what happens, because we've seen that as time passes, we're learning more. Could that cause some people to be, who may have a little bit healthier dose of skepticism, to be a little bit more weary?
But Sterling, I have seen a lot of what has been fed out there. But there's no concrete proof of what they're saying, because they're talking just like how me and you talking right now, but they don't bring any proof.
But what about the instances where even when there is something, where there's a physician who has said, well, listen, this looks to be the case, and as a scientist, as we understand it, their duty is to, let's explore and evaluate this thing as we investigate it to see what is what, and then we have questions, and over time we come to some semblance of what could be. Is this part of the issue? I mean,
but they will say, we suspect that this is what it is, but they never come back out and say, hey, look, we have proven, and here are the facts behind it. Here is concrete proof. Here's the paper.
But what about
we
when
put our name to this paper, along with X, Y, and Z from whatever university or whatever body.
Right.
It's we call it.
But what about two things? When we're seeing now, again, after the fact, it could be a year or two later, it could even be just a few months. We're not seeing revisions. So it's like, as an example, if a print newspaper, if a print thing on the front page makes a comment and it's wrong, and an apology is had, many would say, well, if you put the wrong thing on the front page, you should also put the apology on the front page. Don't bury it way back in somewhere in a bad spot, right? So with that in mind, when we understand, like, let's just use the US and the UK, for instance. We understand that maybe the CDC has revised something, or the UK, health agency, quite ominously term, from Public Health England now to Health Security Agency. Sounds like a quite nefarious, but that's just a public personal comment. It's wondering if those level of revisions that may paint a different picture that seems to be more objective as they're revised and to get the accuracy, should they too not also get the same level of attention?
They should get the same level of attention.
And so when they're brought,
but when you're looking at what is worse than, yes, with all medication, and I say with all medication, you will have side effects. No ands, ifs, or buts. But weigh the pros and the cons.
Right.
Is it better to have a little side effect than to be dead?
Well, that's the thing, you see.
And if you look at the world right now, that those places that have a lot of vaccinations, they have actually opened up and relaxed a lot of their mandates.
Is it the
Why?
problem? Yeah, sorry.
Because the vaccine has been proven that it does save lives. It does help.
Well, one thing we
not
will
a cure-all.
Yeah. So it's not a panacea that they promise. Because even that, we're seeing, and this is probably one of the good things and the bad, with where we live now. You say something is recorded, and then a week or a month or a year or a decade, even a century, if it's routine without being edited, it can be replayed. And if it contradicts, so we know we're seeing, first, the vaccine will prevent you from getting it, and then as they learn more or decide that they can't say it the way they initially have, they restate it. But let me ask, and again, this, we talked about the choice, we talked about the trust, but what about the words and the way things are presented, right? So look at the latest press release that came out, perhaps yesterday, and it our word choices. They say, unfortunately, an unvaccinated person, all right? Not to make light of it, and like you said at the outset, one person who passes, no matter how and when and why, and whether there are multiple things, that's a life that is lost and a family that is grieving. And so I think one of the things that in this community, in a way, that I think the public pundits have been apt to appreciate is that we are, as a community, very sensitive and trying to be respectful and not ask too many questions publicly to even appear to be disrespectful when we say or share something, right? But in this, if you'll forgive me, when they use the word unfortunately, an unvaccinated person, there are other words in there, died, during the last reporting session. Would you ask the question then, would it have been fortunate the person was vaccinated? I mean, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but I'm wondering if we're consciously using some words to inflame the situation or to paint a picture. Does it matter if the person was vaccinated or not, that they pass? Are they inferring that if the person was vaccinated, they wouldn't have passed, or that if they were passed and were vaccinated, it was okay? It wouldn't have been as unfortunate?
No, I don't feel it that way. It's just a you would say a group of words that they use, probably not even realizing what effect they could have.
Or what if they have realized it?
But if a person dies in a car accident, they still use the same group of words.
Well, but that's the thing, right? And here's the, forgive me, here's the other thing that has probably inflamed the situation when you listen to some people, especially those who are willing to either be very public with their perspective or in the greatest of confidence share amongst their colleagues, and we're hearing this coming out more and more, where a person has passed, and what's the word that they use? Comorbidities, right? So they have all these other issues that, unfortunately, they're dealing with, as they visit their physicians and go through their various therapies and treatments and what have you. But now they're also diagnosed with this thing, and they pass, but the cause of death seemingly, isn't the terminal illness that they had. It's this thing, right? I'll say this, and I know many will turn their, ways in which they look at you in a bad way. But I've heard a number of people, including physicians, ask, well, did this thing accelerate their demise, right? But for it, they may have passed at some point, but maybe not as, not just yet.
Not that recent time that they did.
Yeah. And when that question, and I've seen this on a number of occasions, even here, and I don't mean to betray anybody's confidence or be disrespectful, especially when they've asked that question, to be looked at not just by the closest of family and friends, but by colleagues, and as if they said something that was just the stupidest thing in the world, right? And that level of inability to have a meaningful discussion to explore, I think, has hampered us. Can you imagine now if 20 years from now or 50 years from now things come to light that would vindicate some of the people today who have been maligned and castigated? Of what value is that? It's too late. The negative impact has already had its toll, right?
Already taken place.
Yeah. And I think that's, for me, that's the only thing that I, on a personal level, we want everybody to be healthy and safe. I shared this with you and others. I worn my seatbelt long before there was a law to wear a seatbelt, because I thought it made sense from the circles I ran in, the things I would read and understand. Now, I would know that the seatbelt wouldn't save your life in every instance. It may save your life, but it may cause injury, and it would depend on the seatbelt that you wore. The lap belt, we know, isn't as good as the shoulder one, which isn't nearly as good as the 5-point harness that.
Right.
But
that the captains and pilots and stuff.
Right. Yeah, and those race car drivers and what have you. But we know that the manufacturers of automobiles have managed to carve a little thing like all the big industries can to save money, right?
You brought up something you would say about the seat belts, which is a very good scenario because those seat belts save 100% of lives. No. Does it save lives? Yes, majority, or a good amount anyway. Because you have some people that get in accidents. Had they been wearing the seat belt, would have been dead also, because the car ejected them, but the car was totally crushed. Or it went over a precipice or whatever, it ejected them. The car is coming and gone because it's down 200 feet or whatever.
In a ravine,
Right. So the vaccine can be compared to that. You made a choice to not wear the seat belt. Fortunately for you, you were ejected. You have some people that opted not to take the vaccine, got the virus, fared off very good. You got the majority, and I use the word majority because it is so, they caught the virus, that end up not making it.
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah, I just hope that, like you said, that there'll be a growing level of tolerance and respect and appreciation, and there'll be people with sufficient courage to stand and do the right thing. I mean, we have to ask, is it okay for employers to insist that employees do certain things? And we have answered yes. If you want to do this, then this is a condition of you doing that. Where's your contract?
Well, the employer does have a right because you're working for me. I'm the employer.
Yeah.
I have a right to say what goes on within my company. A lot of people feel it's imposing on their rights and this and that, but as an employer, I have the right to say what I want in my company.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, man. I'll be honest with you, and without good conversation and a sense of civility, we're gonna find ourselves in short order in a real predicament, man.
Yep. Anyway.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, man.
Cheers. Great talk.
Yeah, man. We talk when we can. All right. All right. Blessings, dear. Hey, let's have some open line. And if Fox puts us to call, what we gotta do, bro? Go to the phones. We take a break and then we take the calls. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kim and Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
As the longest established pensions plan in the Cayman Islands, the Chamber Pension Plan looks forward to delivering the same strong performance for our members, but now in a new location. As of March 1st, our new pensions operation office is located at 14 Saturn Close, Eastern Avenue, the same building as our new administrator's agent, Saxon Administration Limited. A dedicated and experienced team will be assigned to the Chamber Pension Plan. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky, and for information as it happens. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. New location, new administrator's agent, new customer service, same strong performance.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Mike, and thanks for calling us in. It's an open line, and we'll go straight back to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon.
Is that me?
Yes. How are you?
Not as good as you, but I'm good.
Well, thank God for your continued prayers for my...
God is so good to me. I just, I can't give him enough thanks. I never do.
He's a gracious God, eh? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I heard you discussing the thing about the COVID, the coronavirus, and I think what happened with a lot of people when people like Fauci and Bill Gates and all those people came out and were telling you about, you had to take this thing so you won't get this disease or this virus. And then later on, they had to come back and backtrack and say, well, it doesn't really cure you, but it keeps you from giving it to somebody else.
Well,
and then there are certain reactions that this vaccine, those that took it, were getting some negative reactions from it. And I think that's what happened to a lot of people. They didn't take it because they weren't sure. There was no guarantee that it was going to cure anything. There was no guarantee that it couldn't, do something to you that could be just as bad as the virus.
Right. But look at, as I listen to you, and again, maybe many of us now have gotten to a place where we've, like many things, there's a level of fatigue. Maybe we've seen the division and the discord, and we've decided that, let's not have this continued discussion because it's created too much, sort of contentious situations, right? Too many of those now otherwise. But let me ask, is it our understanding that in a number of jurisdictions and a number of healthcare sort of individuals have shared that to give it to the young people, there isn't any really major benefit? Is that something that you're hearing as well?
Well, I don't know. I think when a young person might have
children in particular,
the whole thing about this or all viruses, not just this virus. The whole thing about viruses is if your immunity you have in your body, you have a good immune system. You got lots of vitamin D. You got lots of, all the things that fights immunity. If you have your body like that, it's no kind of virus, no cancer, nothing can affect you. I mean, that's how when your body is built up with protection by your then that's what happens.
Yeah, I think what has been challenging in this whole thing is the growing level of distrust that we have for leadership in church, in politics, in government, leadership generally. The examples in recent history in particular, where people are untrustworthy, they're sort of greedy.
Yeah, but the thing is this, that I think what happens is, when you see people like Fauci, who's in charge of all this kind of stuff, and he comes out and he, tells you this is going to keep you from getting this thing or something like that. Then a month or so later, he comes back and say, well, it doesn't really keep you from getting it, but it protects you from giving it to somebody else.
Well, apparently you can still give it even if you got it, right? So you're not even doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And this is what happens. It's, people then become a little skeptical about when the authorities come out and say, well, you have to get this or you have to get that because this is what people getting this. And then they talk about the little children and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people with young children that say, I'm not giving that to my child. But then they some places have made it mandatory. Like I can't remember all the different countries, but they made it mandatory. Then they turned around after that. Then they found out that it was really affecting the children in a negative manner. So it's the old people say that tell the truth and tell it ever cost it what it will for. You know what I mean? If you tell the truth, people then have the opportunity, or have the ability to make a decision based on, and prayer. I think people pray enough about stuff like this. Like people get scared when they hear things like this. They don't want to die. So instead of getting on their knees and giving God thanks and praying for God to heal them,
right.
Have that faith. Then God is the greatest physician of all, all time. That's what you have to do. You have to trust in God.
We're having a challenge in here, in the environment you moved in. All right. Yeah, man. Well, prayer certainly heals, man. Thanks, sir.
Good afternoon.
God bless you. Thank you.
God bless us all in Cayman.
Amen. Well, let's take the other caller. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Jane.
How are you? How are you today?
Fine, thanks and yourself. Thank God.
Amen. Very blessed. Very thankful.
Yeah. Calling regarding the last two callers talking about the vaccine status and I didn't catch it all from the beginning, so I make sure what I heard. Those callers are correct. I mean, they're saying that you must make this vaccine mandatory for whatever the reason is, because as we can see, the vaccine has stopped us from getting COVID. So we don't know what's the next plan behind the vaccine. In my opinion, it's another plan. But why the vaccines that worked, that we know worked, the one they eliminated polio, eliminated tuberculosis and everything, if they're the ones that we have proven that they have worked, they have solved the problem in most countries, why those vaccines are not mandated? Why they're not mandated? Because they're the ones that we know that work. The COVID vaccine so far has not worked. We're all aware. I mean, it might have eliminated some sickness or whatever, but it didn't work. But yet they make this one mandatory. They crippled the whole world, because it just didn't cripple some, it crippled the whole world, because not everybody, because of the skeptics about it, people who have no more confidence in this one, because it didn't work out how they say it was going to work from the beginning started off. No, but the ones that we know that work, they're not mandated. Why didn't CDC not mandate those ones? And I mean, and this is and why, if it was so good, why is it still an experimental drug? Not something that is actually, passed. I don't know if it's full of passes yet. Maybe I'm off, but I know it came out as an experimental. Yes, all drugs are experimental, whether it's 1 day old or whether it's 100 years old. If they experiment on it, because if I catch one, don't catch the other. Mm-hmm. But why is there such a segregation? And people are looked down. I mean, if you choose not to go and get vaccinated, and I choose to go get vaccinated, why should and you can carry it, and I can carry it. It's not say, well, you're vaccinated, you can't, we don't worry about nobody not catch it from you. Mm-hmm. But you that's unvaccinated, you can't go there because you're unvaccinated. You can't do this because you're unvaccinated. You can't do here, you can't do there because you're unvaccinated. All we are doing is dividing the whole world. We can see it. It has caused a lot of chaos all over the world. And at the end of the day, it's our people who are suffering. Mm-hmm. So we need to stop the segregation, because if I can, me that is unvaccinated, can give it to you that is vaccinated, then I'm not different from you. You're not different from me, because you can give it to me too. Mm-hmm. So what makes a difference? I mean, what we want, and what is so much behind this vaccine? In my opinion, there has to be something that's not being shown to us. That why they are pushing this vaccine and pretty much the whole world, like, okay, we had an incident yesterday at the port. I work at the port, okay? Mm-hmm. Of course, we've got cruise ship back to welcome them back and everything. We had some customers that were due. They were booked from a month ago when the cruise ship was approved to come to Cayman, and they were booked a month ago, and they were accepted on the ship because they were unvaccinated. They allowed them to get onto the ship, get them unvaccinated. I mean, and when they get to the Cayman Islands, they were told that because they're unvaccinated, they can't come off the ship. On our flyer, which we get from the Carnival Cruise Line, says that we have vaccinated and unvaccinated passengers. So where are we wrong? Now, the people that are unvaccinated is allowed to get onto the boat, but when they get to certain ports like the Cayman Islands, they're not aware that they can't get off when they were told that they could get off. I mean, we need someone to look into this, because this is going to cause a lot of chaos with with people, because people are starting one thing and now they ended up in something else. So we need to know what going on.
If I might, and I don't want to belabor too much, just for clarity, you're there present, you're witnessing when it comes to people who are getting off. Are you seeing them wearing masks or no?
Some people are coming off with masks. I do not know exactly. We were trying to find out the exact procedure there. We were told this morning that, you don't have to, if you're getting into close proximities, like in offices and shopping centers, you must have on your mask inside. But I don't know if it's coming off the tenders.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are coming off with it on, and some people are coming off with it off. So I don't know what the procedure is.
All right.
Yet.
Okay. Well, again, maybe greater clarity. We saw the UK on Friday, was it? Do away with almost everything. So maybe, since we are in possession of the UK, we'll eventually, follow suit. All right.
Yeah, so we need a little bit ironing out somewhere down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, too. All right. Take the call, Mr. Fox. Hey, good afternoon. Nope. Going to the news. I see the time. Please, crave your indulgence. We join you right after.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Water Authority Cayman advises customers in the Newlands area of a planned temporary service interruption scheduled for Sunday, March 27th between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. to facilitate infrastructure upgrades in the area. In international news, the cost of living in Russia is surging following the country's invasion of Ukraine, according to new data. Official figures show price of some household staples, such as sugar, have jumped by as much as 14% over the past week. North Korea has tested a banned intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time since 2017, South Korea and Japan say. Japanese officials said it flew 684 miles and fell in Japanese waters after flying for over an hour. ICBMs designed for nuclear arms delivery could extend North Korea's strike range as far as the U.S. mainland. A streaming service could win Best Picture at the Oscars for the first time on Sunday, which Netflix's head of global film, Scott Stuber, says would be the dream. Netflix was once the new kid on the block, now has 27 Oscar nominations at this year's Academy Awards, more than any other studio. The Power of the Dog, the story of two warring brothers set in 1920s Montana, is one of the frontrunners to be named Best Picture. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Something big is coming to Radio Cayman.
Have you heard? Well, what is it?
For 3 days only, April 5th to 7th.
I know what it is, but I can't tell you. Ma, you don't know? How you know?
You don't want to miss this.
Well, hurry up and tell us now.
Radio Cayman is offering something big for all our advertisers. Contact RC Sales at gov.ky or get in touch with your account executive to learn more.
So you're really not going to tell us?
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. It feels like a Monday. Calendar says it's a Thursday. Paul said he wished it was a Friday and it was a Monday holiday. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you today, sir?
I am blessed, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm still enjoying the Cayman Islands.
Amen.
Beautiful days, beautiful sun. When you look at the news, when you hear the news and you look at the TV, I wish, everybody will wish to be here. But anyhow, the subject that you're talking about, the vaccination, the good book say, let every man be well persuaded in his own mind. I'm not going to tell anybody to take it or don't take it. Everybody can decide for themselves. That's why God made everybody different. What you like, I don't like. But I took my 3, and I have lived in places, other countries, and I lived in the house with people that had COVID, and I didn't get it. Lived in there, mixed with them, not 1 day, not 2 days, for weeks with people, and I didn't get it. But from years back, before any COVID or anything, I always like my vitamin C and my vitamin D, you know, and I continue to take a lot. I take cinnamon every day of my life, and, you know, every time I go to the doctor tells me I'm going to live till I die. And I not got any diseases through all of the COVID and stuff that is going on, you know. And what I sat down was figuring out, like I said, when I was sailing to sea, nurses used to come aboard the ship and give us vaccinations if we wanted to get off of the ship to go shopping or anything. And we didn't know what it was, because in those times, knowledge wasn't like how it is now, you know. And even today, we go to the shop and we buy medication. We don't know what's in the medication, but we trust the doctor, we take it. You know, we go to a restaurant, we buy food, we trust that it's going to be good for us, you know. So, you know, life is a gambling. Life is nothing but surprises, because we sit down on an airplane and we hope that the plane will get to the destination where we're going. And like I said, those days, earlier years, in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have much, you know, intelligence as we got today. So, you know, yes, you can still get the virus vaccinated, but I think it does help you. But, you know, a caller earlier back was saying, you know, once you have a high immune system, then I think that is the answer to it, you know? Because, like I said, I've been taking my vitamins all of my life, and every morning I take vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, and everything that I can take, you know, for years. And every time I go to the doctor, I stop going now, because they tell me I can live till I die. So I'll go to them from time to that. I know that. You know, so let every man be persuaded in his own mind. If you want to take it, you take it. And if you don't, well, you don't take it. But then when the repercussions come, then you can't blame nobody, right? You know, but personally, me, I think that the vaccinations help for them other people around the world that have taken it. And, you know, they're still there. So let's hear what somebody else has to say. But that is my thought about it. But I have lived in the house with people that had it, and I didn't get it, you know. So,
well, as I listen to you, I'm reading, and I commit to you, I'm listening to you as well. I don't believe we can multitask as good as we think we can. But I'm reading and exchanging some messages with two of our listeners, who one said, you know, tell Mr. George hello. But they both are sharing the same view, that it seems that whereas they are agreeing with you that we should be, as the scripture says, you know, let each man be persuaded according to his own mind, as you were relayed, they're both sharing that it seems we're being pressured. This one says bullied. The other one says, you know, how they word it, you know, you're experiencing peer pressure. So if you as a parent, and I won't read how it's written, but I'll got permission to share it quickly. This parent says, you know, has a certain age child, was debating, you know, with the physician as to what to do relative to getting the course of action, and was feeling pressured by family, by co-workers, and by others, even in the church, as to what the course of action should be. And can you imagine that, parents are already struggling with so much and wanting to do the very best for a child, feeling that added level of pressure? Now, is that part of the problem? We're in a society where an attempt to be somewhat jovial, we are now hearing people say, well, not too long ago, we were all online experts and specialists when it comes to, the virus and this. And now all of a sudden, with the war breaking out, we're all international relations experts. So we're no longer talking about that. We're now talking about this. Is it that we have too much to say and little to offer, even if we are the falsies of the world?
Yeah, Mr. Sterling, we can raise our children at a certain age. When they get to their age that they're supposed to reach, that we can't tell them. We can tell them, but they don't have to listen to us. So I have a son in the UK, and I said, son, I'm your father. I'm not going to tell you nothing wrong. I'll never tell you nothing wrong. I took the vaccination. You should take it. But he never took it. He said, no, I don't believe you in it, and I'm not going to take it. And he's fine. He's in the UK where, it was very high there, and he's still doing fine up until this morning. So what I'm saying is that I don't believe in forcing anything on people. You got people that going wrong and forcing religion on you. Let everyone be persuaded in their own mind. And that way then nobody gets blamed for anything. You can't blame me. I mean, I told you, but you didn't listen, so you can't hold that against me.
Fair enough.
That is how I look at this vaccination. But I think that it has helped people.
But is it? If I might ask you, because we talk about we can't force people, right? Or we shouldn't, or we should, follow the scripture and, let each man be persuaded, right, according to his own mind. But yet, we pass laws to protect certain things or to prescribe certain things. We adopt certain practices, protocols, we would even say, procedures, standard operating procedures, and it's the policy that, this is it. Now, you probably heard many of political leaders across many jurisdictions share that when it comes to the employment contracts, that's a private agreement between employer and employee, and whatever's agreed in that contract of employment is what has to be, for the most part, followed. But if you drill down and the person says, I want to work for you, I have the skill set, the expertise, the pay is great, everything is great, but this particular condition, is a sticking point, whatever that is. It may be that, I can't work on that day because of religious reasons, or I can't work at that hour, whatever it is, whatever that thing is, right? There are times when the concession can be had, or there's legislation to protect against an employer forcing an individual in that circumstance. So if it isn't accepted in certain, why isn't it accepted in, almost all? And where is that right to enter into a contract, seeing that it's not one-sided, where the employer says, take it or leave it, Bobo, and is that what is happening in many instances?
Yeah, Mr. Sterling, that's what happening. But I don't believe in forcing people. God Himself, the Creator, gave us free choices. Many times people say, well, God is so powerful, why He didn't kill the devil? But then that way we wouldn't have no choice at all but to serve Him. And He don't want that. He wants people to be free to have their own choices in life, to choose. One way He said, you got two roads, long and narrow, short and wide. For me personally, I would choose the long and narrow one. But that's not you. That's why He made everybody different. You like chocolate, but something, I like chocolate too, Mr. Sterling.
Good for you, man.
But anyhow, you have a wonderful day.
And to you, sir.
Opinion.
Yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
I don't look good, people say. Some people say I look good and some people say I don't. But Mr. Sterling, looks is deceiving because I feel good.
Thank God.
And I look good too.
Yeah, man. Well, there you go.
Although I walk with a stick,
Yeah, man. Well, you know what?
You have a wonderful day, sir.
You too, sir. You too. And with that,
God bless Cayman and let Cayman remain Cayman.
right.
And
Well,
although people are trying to change it, but let Cayman remain Cayman. You have a wonderful day.
you too, sir. And I appreciate each and every one of you for sharing your perspective, and invite you to call 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Can't promise you always that I'll follow the rules, but I try to make sure when we don't, that is to improve. Well, we have a scheduled break. Let's take that, and when we come back, let's hear from you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Following the 1932 hurricane, like most young men growing up in Cayman during the era, the call of the sea was heard more strongly than any other. Keith Tibbetts Sr. of Cayman Brac was no different. After assisting with the rebuilding of the family home, resurrecting the family car, and helping other relatives and the community rebuild, he built and sold several catboats before going to Jamaica to seek employment as a seaman. In 1936, he joined the Canadian banana boat Lady Somers and eventually found himself involved in the global war effort. Keith participated in the evacuation of Dunkirk in World War II. He served in the Merchant Marine from 1939 to 1940 and then as a seaman gunner on the Jamaica Pioneer. On D-Day, Keith Tibbetts was off the coast of France manning an anti-aircraft gun. Following this, he joined the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, where he served until his ship was torpedoed and sunk by a German submarine. Following this, he took a job on a tanker, which was home-based in Trinidad for bunkering American convoys, carrying military personnel and supplies to the European allies, becoming chief engineer. Following the war efforts, Keith continued the shipping trade, moving into boat building with his brothers, joining the Trinidad Shipping Company and National Bulk Carriers. This was part 5 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Attention parents and guardians. Any child who is 5 years old by 31st August must be enrolled in an approved educational program, including government, private, or homeschooling program. Registration for the 2022-23 academic year begins on 1st April. Applications received before 1st April will not be considered. Detailed students' registration guidelines and forms are available on the Department of Education Services website at www.schools.edu.ky or by emailing edu.registration@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's open line. Let's go straight to the phones and welcome our callers. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Mr. Dwayne.
Hey, how are you, my friend? How are you?
Oh, yeah, man. Feeling irie.
Yeah, Bob Marley song coming to mind now. Feeling one. And I won't try to sing it. You know how it goes. You good?
Yeah, man, you're good.
Yeah, man.
You're good now. But, so the mandate of the vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, if I don't take it,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Okay, I got a free will to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, may I ask the callers, not the one in the last, I always respect that caller. He always tells you what you know. But if I don't take it, you can punish me for not taking it, meaning like you can limit my supplies or limit my way of, surviving or living in this so-called thing we call life.
It seems so, you know.
It seems so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would wonder which power was given to them that they could do so. Because if you may ask who's the real virus or the real pandemic we were going through, I would gracefully love to say that it was these last 30 years in politics. That has been a pandemic because I have never seen anybody get so bigger and rounder than in politics.
I think one of the challenges that we have here is that we allow perhaps too much to transpire in our world, where we don't always have the courage nor the conviction nor the confidence to ask a question, to stand in the gap, to speak out. You have the blowhards. I was looking for something that someone sent to me earlier that basically talked about, one of the problems of the world is that those who don't have anything to say are always talking, the ones that should be speaking aren't saying anything. They said it in a much nicer way, but, well, maybe to some, the words used weren't as nice. But is that a problem, though? We don't have people who have enough level of responsibility and respect for themselves and for each other, for the position that they hold and for the authority in which they wield. They only seem to be guiding. Point is, they want to influence others because they are walking, speaking loudly and carrying a big stick and threatening and bullying. So if you don't conform, then you'll have to be condemned.
I gotta feel the stick.
Seems to be that way, man. Seems to be that way.
Right. So this thing about, you can lead the cow to the well, but you can't make it drink. Again, I gotta keep bringing that up because that was a fable told to me at a time that I didn't think it was able for me to hear.
Yeah,
but I wonder if they ever learn like the cow could lead itself to the well, or the cow would ever know, say, I probably drinking too much of the water and the well go run dry. So that's why I always ask them, what you do when the well run dry?
Yeah.
They never have an answer again. And to the people that where they have the voice and not speaking up, that's a bigger shame. I wonder how you sleep at night.
Yeah, that's the thing, boy. What is it that you desire most? Your title, or is it your, obligation and compensation to do the right thing? Well,
right.
we shall know.
And if they want to ask about the mandate, let me ask them a question. Which part of the tourism industry was you willing to risk me and your life over, having them people come in here that have not been vaccinated or that have been vaccinated and then can still spread the virus on this small little island? Because check this little island. This island is very well quarantined from the rest of the world, and if we were sticking with that, we would not have a case here ever, right? But for a tourist hub or somebody that they love to see smiles and whatever, it was risky. It was well fit for them, but now they won't complain about, getting it this way or that way.
Mm. Yeah, man.
It was never a thought. It was never a thought about having us sufficient, food, having us that we grow our own food or that we can live on our own. We have to make sure that we stay needy.
Yeah, something to think about. Maybe too many of us are willing to dismiss the messenger because they don't want to hear the message, or to dismiss the message because they hate the messenger even. Hey, any final thoughts, man?
Yes, my last thought is I want to make sure I give all my my praises and my help to those that is locked away in the prison.
Yeah.
Because have it the hardest up inside it. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, man. And let's not forget them, as the caller reminds us. And if we talk about integration and reducing the recidivism, maybe we need to start with compassion. And let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, afternoon. How are you today?
Boy, on the bracket, I comfortable, God bless, man. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. Amen, amen.
All right. I got some points I want to point out that couldn't agree more with that young man did just now. What he's saying. I was watching on the YouTube the return of the cruise ships. It looked nice and everything, Georgetown there, but majority of why is he coming off there? Nothing, no mask, nothing. I don't see no mask. But anyway, that got to be another topic for another day. But I want to call in about this situation we got on this little island called Cayman Brac. There's a virus going down around Cayman Brac here, and it's not called Corona. It's called Haya the Foreigners. I can't believe what I just witnessed some weeks ago. There was a young lady, intern in a government facility, government department, working there. And here I am, thinking this little young lady, because I know her father well. Thinking this little young lady got his job and everything else. Feel happy for her, feel happy for her mother, feel happy for her father. Come and find out they had throw under the table vote of applications for who to hire. And come and find out here goes another foreigner in a Cayman position again. It seems to me like these politicians that be getting in these situations or during this election time, I can only see them when that time comes. Because I know for certain for the last 10 to 12 years, Cayman Brac has been getting nothing but promises, and it looks like it can't come to a halt. And you hear me say many times before that a promise is only a comfort to a fool heart.
Right. So let me...
And people take us for a fool around here, and we might just sit back and lay back and make these things happen to us.
Right. So let me ask then, I appreciate you willingly sharing your thoughts. So let me ask two things first. Whether it's Cayman Brac or whether it's Cayman Islands as a whole, and whether we're looking, well, let's start first. The politicians, we elect them, right?
Yeah.
And let's go on the premise that we've always, and I pray it continues to even improve, if that's possible, to have free and fair elections where we have no questions about the veracity, the legitimacy, and the democracy. So what do you want us to do? What do we do to make sure that we're doing something better when it comes to electing the people to lead us, the policies and laws that are formulated? What are your thoughts?
Let me say one thing, Dwayne, before I take up too much of your time.
Yes, sir.
Here on the Brac, we don't have much choices. And from what I can gather, that I hear wants to run for the next election. Good gracious, I hope that'll really happen. Because we've been living under enough scrutiny and dictatorship. Because nobody can tell me that this government ain't a dictatorship government. There's nobody can tell me that. Because we are more dictatorship-led than the people of Cuba. Because we have no freedom, and I've been telling people around here more than time and time again that why people around here can't voice their opinion. The majority of the people work for the Cayman Islands government, and they are afraid to voice their opinion for situations like these. And whether we get politicians in there, politicians are worried about you the first month of the election. Once they get in, their pocket get bigger, their house get wider, their cars get more flashy, and they don't even know you. If you're walking on the street in the hot sun, they cross you like they don't know who you is. They don't even blow their horn after you. And now that Cayman Brac, especially this little Cayman Brac here, are falling in the predicament that we are in. We are in a dire strait of needing help, and our politicians or whoever, our leaders, whatever kind of HR, wherever they located in the district admin or wherever they're coming out from, are not seeing their own Cayman children. They are seeing the foreigners. I know for certain some of them can't even speak English. They came here from a different country, obviously. They put some in positions that they're doing tour guides, telling foreigners about Cayman Brac, for God's sake. How in the world am I going to go to India and tell people up there about India? And I know nothing about India. But our government can allow these people to come here, dictate anything, and just put foreigners into these jobs, Sterling, is what is upsetting me. Between that topic and knowing that our government is sitting back, not helping the people of Cayman Brac, I want to pass on one more thing before I go beside the concern of the jobs, because that is really tearing my stomach inside out, thinking about what's happening to our Cayman people in general, Cayman Islands people in general, now in the Cayman Brac. Because you can't even say Little Cayman, because Little Cayman is no more Cayman. That is already taken over by foreigners. But one more thing I want to bring up is we, Cayman Brac here, Sterling, is a small little congregation, small little island. We have nowhere to congregate on our weekends. We don't have beaches anymore to go to, because the foreigners come here, they close us off from our little beaches that we used to go to. We have one section on the south side of the island. Scott Development was good enough to build a man-made beach, which doesn't have much room for people, but it can accommodate about 100 people or a little more. We have one big section on the south side there where the old Tiara Beach hotel was located. They tore it down because of one border that came into the Cayman Islands here, and nobody can tell me that that company called DART. They pushed that building down. Sterling, that is the most beautiful spot right now on Cayman Brac. That is the prettiest spot right now for the people, the locals right now, to go Cayman Brac and say they have somewhere to go swim. Our government won't even say, let's hold that piece of property, buy it from whoever owns it, and make that a beach where the people have somewhere to go. My God, Sterling, this place is getting so bad that the people can't even walk on the iron shore, much less go somewhere that has white sand.
All right.
Things is getting bad.
Yeah, do me a favor. I had your number the other day. I was looking for it now, and I don't have it.
I can give you that.
Give it to me again, please.
927
Uh-huh.
6677. Don't be afraid, call it.
Okay.
Because me and you, man, just like we man to man, we got to talk seriously, because something needs to be done around this little island here, because we are being overlooked. And most of the time we don't have nobody to go to, because we have one section here called District Admin, one building there. You don't even want to go up inside it, because sometimes they close their door when they see you coming. You don't even want to go there. And it's sad, because who do we have to go to, and where do we have to go to? We have no one to call on and no one for help in this little small island here, Sterling. And it seems like the people are afraid to stand up, like I said, because of why? Because these politicians telling them, listen, on a shut on the mouth or a lose on a job. Sterling, I got one more thing to say before I go. Listen to this and listen to it good. Cayman Islands, let's not say Cayman Islands, let's say Cayman Brac, has two branches that people can put their finances in, money-wise. One called Credit Union, the other one called C&B Bank. C&B Bank is a private sector. Credit Union is government. If the Cayman Islands government think that they can fire anyone that work, I challenge them to do it And I tell them what, all of those that people that have bank loans, tell them to cancel CNB Bank and go put their money in credit union. Now tell the government come and fire you because you've said two little words to try to make yourself better in this Kim and Brock, especially Kim and Brock. I challenge any government official to go and tell someone they can fire them under that circumstance because our people here starting need help. Our people here need help. You know what? Some days ago, I think it was your show or OC show, where back in the days they used to have 4 politicians. Maybe they need to go back to that. Maybe they need to because we not getting no help. We have one up in there now. It is in the opposition. He can't say nothing. He don't have no power. We need help and we not getting no help. All you can hear up in the system here about doing this for the education, doing that for education. Education don't need no more help than what they have now. Because the thing about it is, Sterling, the schools are in a dire problem and they seem like they can't solve it and they try and hide it. But Kim and Brock need help with these children coming out of schools, need jobs, and they need to stop putting these foreigners in the place of these jobs that Kim and children can do.
We got to chat again about that, right? Look out for me. All right. Let's take one more call before we go to the break. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon, Joanne.
Hey, Doc, how are you, sir?
Good. You know, I've been wanting to call for a while and congratulate you and big you up for always being such a great host because, you know, the thing about it, you're a very soft-spoken person. You're a gentleman indeed. But you ask and the big questions and your fillers are also very enlightening. And I always had a great respect for your diplomacy.
Thank you, sir.
Your ability to communicate in spite of the fact that many people believe that people should not speak sense, that they should always be on the borderline of speaking sense and nonsense, which is nonsense anyway. And I think always that one should be very transparent about one's knowledge. If you know something, you should share it. And I have listened to the caller that just speaking and the caller before that, and I find them very, very interesting people. And I've always found many of the shows that people call in and they say very refreshing and enlightening things. And I always believe that this is the problem of the Cayman Islands. We have a lot to say, and we can say it very well. But there's one thing that we can't do. We cannot organize. We cannot come together. And this is the problem of the Cayman Islands society. It's been a problem from the time I came back here in 1977. We have grown to such a gigantic, powerful economy. We might not own it, but it resides here. And with that kind of power, one can't do very much to defend oneself, regardless, and especially if one is not organized. We can speak to the politicians, but as soon as the politicians get in power, the politicians are controlled by the corporate giants. As a matter of fact, they finance their elections, and people buy into their promises because they're getting something in many, many, many cases. And of course, the civil service is silenced. The British government really has a lot of answering to do at the end of the day on the world stage for what has happened and their proposed partnership for progress and prosperity in the Cayman Islands. Because at the end of the day, when one really analyzes it, yes, progress and prosperity for whom? And what they're really talking about, because since their plan has been a plan that has existed for a very long time, in terms of the development of the Cayman Islands, they know who would benefit. It was not supposed to be for the Caymanian people, and this is the reason why we also had the removal of the restriction of entry into the United Kingdom, and they're granting us United Kingdom citizenship or status and not making it reciprocal. Because they know at the end of the day that many Caymanians would fail here and then they would go to their welfare state. But at the end of the day, they're making giant profits. And they're keeping their control of the currency system or the money system, world system. They're keeping their hands on it. Now, I don't have no arguments with anybody who do business or who do business because somebody is going to do business. But what I do have a problem with is when people are unfair in terms of how the dividends are distributed. Now, we hear our financial ministers always bragging about the surplus. Well, the surplus is there, but when you look at the land, Wayne,
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
and you see the land availability in terms of Caymanian possibilities to have access to the land, there's no surplus. If you don't see a surplus in the pockets of your people, then what's the point of you saying there's a surplus in the government? Because the government surplus only comes from taxation.
Or
And
borrowing,
you want
right?
to find out what form of taxation that you're using. You're using a direct, indirect taxation system, which is based on consumerism. It's based upon sales, and whether or not that's the sale of the land that the people might have an opportunity to purchase later on if you didn't sell it before or not. The government has actually benefited from the sale of land in the Cayman Islands to the point where supply and demand has forced the Caymanian out of their market for land and to a large extent to be able to build a house, to be able to afford accommodations and so forth and so on. When people are talking about economics, they need to balance all the factors, not just look at what they consider their surplus, because you might have a surplus on the books, but what is it that your people have? We have a government that operates on an economic system that looks at the surplus of the government and don't look at all the indebtedness of their people. And their inability to have access to what we would consider to be medical care is one, because although we have a lot of doctors in this country, there are a lot of doctors, the prices of medical examination and treatment is very, very high, because we have completely organized a society for the wealthy without thinking that any society will help poor people. This is where I've always had to cross swords with people, and because of my nature of work, how I was educated, how I did my thesis as a field researcher rather than somebody just taking everything from the books. I always come off as controversial, or as Steve Macfield said, as an extremist. But I am only calling out those things which I can see, but because certain people don't see them, they believe that my position is extreme or radical or exaggerated or unfair criticisms. But as a person who has been trained in system analysis, I think that when I hear these gentlemen speaking, I believe that they are going to have, at some point, they're going to have to deal with these people, because these people have real sound grievances in the British government. British governors have heard these things for years. We've always been talking about the lack of participatory democracy.
Mm-hmm.
We have representative democracy, but nobody has created a system of participatory democracy in this country, and everybody promises it.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be, since this is a country that's not a sovereign country in the sense that the crown is sovereign, it's the crown that will be blamed ultimately for all of the failures in this Caribbean territory. And they need to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to escape the blame. As we see the play on the international scene, where people are calling other people unfair, when their unfairness has been kept in disguise, camouflage. But it begins now more and more to surface where we could say, well, you know, it's just the way you play cricket. It's just the way you put your legs before the wicket. It's just the way you bat. It's just the way you swing. You know, it's just the way that you twirl the ball.
Right.
So it's style. It's style, but we need to get to the point of looking at substance. Not so much as the rhetoric, but the substance of the policies that are being encouraged, supported, and move forward, whether or not they are overall democratic in the sense that everybody has an equal chance to benefit from them. And what I've heard now today, again, is that people feel left out. People feel that other people are preferenced. And then people come and say, well, that's because they have an education, or that's because they have experience, or they just because all of the criteria, but there's nothing about nationality. What about the nationality? Does that entitle somebody to something?
Yeah. Well, Dr. Frank, always welcome your comments, sir. And I could listen to you continuously. With great deference, sir. Any final quick thought you want to share with us? All right. Hey, thanks very much for that perspective. And with that, we'll pause and take a break. When we return, we'll certainly, continue the discussion as we invite Ms. Tiffany Conley and Ali Banks to our studio. Dr. Frank's comments initially, I appreciate it. I very much acknowledge it publicly. My comments, there are no malice, no hidden agenda, no ulterior motives. It's a sincere approach to bringing us closer together so that as a country we stand unified. Stronger together, they say. Actually works. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, black forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Cardinal Avenue may be closed, but La Perfumerie 2 remains open. La Perfumerie 2 has an expertly curated collection of fragrance, skincare, and cosmetics, and is available for appointments with our trained beauty consultants. Customers can avail of free parking at Bayshore Mall. No need to drive around town looking for parking. Want to call and collect? Call 815-7492 or email perfumery2@kirkfreeport.com with your order before 2 p.m. and collect from Kirk Gallery Bayshore Mall at 4 p.m. same day or next day. Full details at kirkfreeport.com.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council Local Scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good.
Wow.
Sensational.
Delicious. Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information.
Something big is coming to Radio Cayman.
Have you heard? Well, what is it?
For 3 days only, April 5th to 7th.
I know what it is, but I can't tell you. Ma, you don't know? How you know?
You don't want to miss this.
Well, hurry up and tell us now.
Radio Cayman is offering something big for all our advertisers. Contact RC Sales at gov.ky or get in touch with your account executive to learn more.
So you're really not going to tell us?
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome and thanks for joining us, and I know she's always amenable and gracious with her time, Miss Tiffany Connolly, but you can tell you how not just charismatic, enthusiastic, and influential she is, but she can bring with her the illustrious Ali Banks. Not everybody can drag him into the public domain, and that's the man. So if you're following, well, us on YouTube, go ahead, but Miss Tiffany has her, what is it, 599,000 followers thus far? Soon to be after today. All right.
It's Piece of Paradise. Again, that's always PEACE of _paradise on Instagram and on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And Al, what's yours on Instagram?
Ali Banks.
That's it.
He's like, it's pretty straight
Ali
up.
Banks Art.
Yeah, man. But I'm glad that both of you would join us, and it speaks to who we are and the time in which we live. But to be inspired and encouraged by you guys to see your work, I think it shows that more and more we have to be that much more mindful and conscientious of what we have so that we can share it, showcase it. There's no point in baking something delicious and just taking a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be nice, but you gotta taste it, and more importantly, you gotta share it.
Share it, yeah.
Because the best food is enjoyed with good company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So too is art.
Unless it's pizza and then you eat it all by yourself.
I think that's sadly.
Well, speaking of Tiffany, I mean, that's why I'm here, because I was retired from the to the radio, so it's you the one that brought me out. So that's why Sterling a bit surprised.
He's a lot surprised, because it's not the first time that my good friend Al has said to me, Bobo, I love you like cook food, but not coming on the radio. So
no, I think it's important for everyone's voice to be heard. So I didn't want. I know the show is featuring both of us, so I didn't want to come on and only have my perspective. So I definitely made sure I tugged on his sleeve.
Of course, that's why I'm here, because when she asked me, I couldn't really say no.
Yeah.
Well, I just found it. I love the picture, the art showcase.
Me too.
I'm thinking, is the picture that much better because Al is in it, or because Tiffany's in it?
No, it's because of Al.
I think so too.
Tiffany made me look kind of like.
It was the first time I've been short in a while, so I appreciated that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's why I don't stand next to her.
Okay. And she was wearing heels.
Yeah. Always, man. Always. but we look at both of you as, I'd say, artists. Now, you may tell me that's not the most appropriate term, and your work is distinctive, but I see complementary sort of bits and pieces in your work. Not so much that I understand the approach, but as I look at it and I revisited early in my mind 2 of your pieces, one that I have. I wonder if it's me, if it's the feeling. Some of us are very tactile, and if it's the feeling. But I think it's the spirit that gets from it.
It must be the spirit.
I was going to say that.
Because I actually reached out to her about 2 years ago because her work keep popping up on Instagram. And it's like, she kind of remind me of me when I first came out.
Yeah,
right? And I said, well, I got to reach out to this person. And that's when we actually only met in person
for that photo
last week.
That was the first time we met in person. We've been contacting and communicating for the last 2 years or so, but with COVID and stuff, everything's been a little tough.
Can I maybe pursue that a bit, because we're talking about an event coming up next Friday, right?
Yes.
And Cayman, even if we say it as the 3 islands, the Cayman is still small. Grand Cayman is even smaller. And each individual district is even smaller. And yet, without what has transpired in the last 2 years alone, that aside, we've even become more and more challenged to engage. So here are 2 wonderfully gifted, talented people like yourselves, and not physically connecting. And to me, that says something for what may be happening in a society that once not just valued, but almost revered the idea of we're going visiting. That word is no longer used in our parlance.
Yeah.
Right? And when you went visiting, you were catching up, but you were bringing something, a little piece of Johnny cake or a little cassava cake. Right? And then you were taking back something. Boy, I just, went in the ground and here's a piece of cassava, a yam, or a thing of, Uncle Les went fishing and here's a little scorch of fish.
Bananas or a piece of fish.
Something, right? And then,
speaking of, I always try to have that connection, because I always still go to visit my friends. I have friends up in East End that I even my friend Julie, she has this garden that always connect me to nature, and I always make it a point to go out there and really just hang out for the day or so. And that's how I try to keep that connection going, even with my studio. It's always there for people to visit and engage. Even going back to the Native Sons, we keep that connection. And that's how I end up doing this show, because Nasaya, she gave Jason that link to check me because of one Native Son wasn't available. And 5 minutes talking to Jason, I was on board, because I'm always ready for a show.
You are a show. Your space, was it Art Week?
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to all of them as I intended, and not just because of my personal commitment, but my preference. I had to come to see your space, and my only regret is that it was only for so many hours. It was an amazing place. You made it feel like we could come for breakfast and stay for dinner.
Yeah, people are always shocked when they come in there. It's like, well, I didn't know there was it came on. It seemed like somewhere in New York or some place.
I need to stop by. I keep saying that.
It is.
I really do.
It is amazing.
So I try to create that space of make people feel welcome, and because I just love designing and decorating and moving stuff around. So when he called me again, I was in the middle of preparing for Art Week, but again, I was available.
Timing. All right. So as we kind of go into the break, and when we come back, we will set the stage. But first, tell us, it's next week.
Yes.
It's the 1st of April. April's a good month, by the way, in case anybody's questioning. It's a good month.
Your birthday?
His birthday is in April, clearly.
No. It could be somebody important to me. It could be mine. It could be Easter.
Thought it was your anniversary or something.
No, I celebrated that. That's good. So, tell us about it. What time and where? Because we want to set the stage for why and what. But it's next week. So
Tiffany could brief you more because she's the one that planned all of that good stuff. So.
Well, yeah, I was just really excited because I was planning a show and then Jason reached out to me for this one. So basically the art exhibition will be April 1st from 4 to 9 p.m. at the Mercedes-Benz showroom, which is on that bend by airport.
Next to Car City.
Car City.
People more familiar with Car City.
And to touch on your point when you said that unfortunately his show that you went to for Art Week was only a few hours, we are happy to announce that this will be going on for the entire month of April. So the opening night is the 1st from 4 to 9, but feel free to go by any time throughout the month of April, and all of the work will still be available. Anything that's purchased, I think we'll note and make that aware to the public, but it will still be up there to be viewed until the end of April.
And I think it's the first of the month. It's a Friday. It's a wonderful place, industrial park there. You know, I think this will help the cars look better. You know, the heart. There's one that Charlie O'Connell drives. Man, I like that little Benz he got her. Nice. Just saying. All right. So when we come back from the break, let's talk about the actual show. Sure. Why we're doing it, what it's going to be like, and the like. I'm really honored on this demo, even though I know you personally. I really feel like I'm not just in the presence of greatness, but in the presence of legends. And so, hopefully, way down the road, my ancestors will say, "Look at that, my grandfather knew these people, and see, I told you he wasn't bad, even from West Bay, that kind of thing." Yeah. All right. Let's pause and take that break, and when we come back, more talk today.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Utility Regulation and Competition Office filed a charge against Rubis Cayman Islands Limited after investigating a spillage that occurred in November 2019 on one of the bulk diesel tanks at their Jackson Point terminal. While a significant quantity of diesel was released from the tank, there was no significant impact found on the surrounding environment, according to an assessment by Water Authority Cayman. The investigation concluded that Rubis did not take reasonable precautions to prevent the spillage. The file was submitted to the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions and charges were laid. The initial hearing was held on March 22, 2022, and the matter was adjourned. In international news, the Duke of Cambridge has spoken of his profound sorrow over slavery during a speech at a dinner in Jamaica. Prince William said slavery was abhorrent, should never have happened, and forever stains our history. Earlier, the island's Prime Minister Andrew Holness told the future king his country planned to pursue its goals as an independent country. Ethiopia's government has declared a humanitarian truce in its 16-month conflict with forces from the northern Tigray region. The civil war has left more than 5 million people needing food aid, yet none has been delivered to Tigray since mid-December. Private Caribbean islands owned by the deceased sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein are up for sale and could fetch up to $125 million. A lawyer for Epstein's estate confirmed to the BBC that the two islands, Little St. James and Great St. James, have been listed. Some proceeds from the sale will be used to settle outstanding lawsuits. Epstein died in jail in 2019, awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thank you for joining us. And as we invite you sort of to look, reflect, appreciate, and respect who we are, where we are, and perhaps why we are and maybe even when we are. To have Ali Banks and Tiffany Conley as our guests, for me, I say this sincerely, and if at any point you feel, otherwise, let me know. But it truly is an honor because I get to see that we are not only blessed with immense talent, but that talent is gradually being able to be recognized and hopefully monetized in such a way that you can make a living. Unlike not long ago when whether you played music, football, or something else, that was something you did in your part-time. You need a real job to pay the bills. Now, you're doing this because, it's a lot more taxing and demanding, but hopefully not just rewarding socially, culturally, but economically. Hopefully. All right. Next week, 4 to 7 in the Mercedes-Benz showroom on next Friday. Miss Tiffany, this art showcase, what was the brainchild? What sparked you to want to put this together?
Well, I started planning my solo art show in October of last year, and things just kept getting bumped around, and I'm a firm believer, if you ask anyone who knows me, the one thing I will repeat nonstop is everything happens for a reason. I live by that. And so I was like, okay, there's a reason why things are falling through. There's a reason all of this isn't coming out how I want it. And so I went to Jason's show, so that would have been the November, which was at the Mercedes showroom. And I was like, I really want to do something like this. I want to be able to share the excitement that I feel from art with other people. I want to bring creativity back into our culture, into our community. And I want to bring people together through art. Fast forward, Jason reached out to me and he's like, Mercedes wants to do this art show. And I thought of you because you said you were planning your own show. So you're kind of already in the making of putting on a show. So it wouldn't be like last minute. I was like, this is exciting. This is perfect. I'm so happy I didn't do my own because now this is even better. And I was like, I don't want to take up all the space. I didn't feel confident enough. And we were talking about this outside. I didn't feel confident enough yet to do a solo show. So when Jason reached out, he was like, oh, we'll have 2 artists. And so that's when Al came on board. And I think my biggest thing is I just want to give to the community. I want us to remember what it feels like to be children and to keep our inner child on our shoulder, and not do away with those childlike imagination. I've been listening to this motivational speaker called Les Brown. I love him. And he always says to live through your imagination, not your memory. And I heard that the first time and I was like, that's beautiful, because if you live through the imagination of where you could be rather than where you were, you're unstoppable. And I want people to feel that. I want people to see that an old table that I found is not what it was, but it is what it could be. And it is only what it could be if you can imagine what it could be. Wow. So I'm really excited. And I messaged Jason the other day and I was like, before things got super hectic, I just want to let you know, please excuse my childlike excitement on the night because I'm going to be like a kid. I'm so excited for this and I can't contain it.
Well, for some reason, that would keep me kind of young because I still have that childish mindset, right? And like even with the 2 years lockdown and this COVID experience, I had time to reminisce about growing up in Cayman, the stuff that we used to do and we don't really do anymore. And I created this series called Childish Games, right? And it's based on playing jacks, hopscotch, all of these kind of stuff, right? So I created all of this series based on all of these games, right? So that would keep me fresh because I could even go back to where that stuff, and I never try to say, well, I got to figure out this stuff, because of this or that, right? I grew up on Shaden Road. I'm still on Shaden Road. No one can't tell me there's other places better than Shaden Road, right? So that's how I live, and my mind is always fresh and ready to go. So.
I'm glad that you are encouraged and have the courage to share that publicly, because too often times, and this is one of the times when I look at my own self, I appreciate what you quote with Les Brown, live through your imagination, not through your memory. I didn't ever think that my creative expressive outlet was as good as others are in this way. It's more in writing, poetry, and word. But the problem is, if you laugh and enjoy life, people will look at you as being immature and childish. And I've said this publicly, and they'll say, "Oh, you don't have a care in the world, or you're that grin-teeth fool." But where there's joy in the heart, it can make a difference in your outlook, right? And so your collective works individually and otherwise. I said earlier, there's something about it, and it's the energy, and I appreciate that, because if we feel, it's like the food we eat. Your mama bring the food to the table. She don't throw it down and say, "Here it is, this old slop." She's labored in that kitchen, right? And she brought that to the table with great love. And then you sat around, and if there were not enough chairs for everybody, you took turns, right? Because some of our families are kind of large, but everybody ate, and they were filled not just with the sustenance, they were filled with the substance of the
love
meal,
and
the
joy,
love, right? And that's just what it was. So I'm looking forward to God's will and Spirit's life next Friday.
The same spirit I get from like when I first met like Reno Jackson.
Yeah, Reno.
It's this guy remind me of just going back to me again, because I'm celebrating 33 years now since I've been full-time artist, right?
Oh, I thought you were your birthday, because I thought you were
too.
I thought you were like 32. You didn't want to get older.
I'm 25. My birthday is 25.
Yeah,
I stuck up 25.
No, I'm 28.
Right, so, before you had Facebook, Instagram, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I used to walk around with my portfolio that's shown to people like I'm an artist, whatever, because I took it serious. I know that I believe in myself, and I'm self-motivated, right? And I wanted the world to know that I'm an artist, and I just went around and showing stuff, and I think that was like was the greatest stuff to myself, So, and that's the way I kind of live,
Something, and I'm mindful, because I want to encourage, but I also be careful that in this society, and we're told it's the same in all small societies, we discredit our own. We don't give them the same level of respect and reward. Right? Or we'll spend money in hiring somebody. Governments have been accused about consultants over the years to implement things that their friends and family have been telling them for free. I'll pay you to do this if you would only listen to my advice. And we ignore it, right? We'll pay a consultant for whatever reason. We talk about scripture saying a man, a prophet is not without honor save his own country. For both of you, first, Tiffany, you made a conscious decision to pursue this, because you could be doing other things, but this is who you are and what you want to be. Any regrets, first off?
No. Not doing it sooner.
Okay.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And how is the society's sort of perspective and uptake, support, survivability? How has that been?
I think, well, first I'm going to say, for 2022 and onward, I'm choosing to be honest to myself.
So that won't stuff be true, huh?
Yes. And so what I'm going to say next is not to hurt or offend anyone. It's just my truth. And I have seen, and I've had to take it day by day to realize that there's some friends who don't share my stuff. And people who I thought would support me don't. And there were days I was like, okay, it's maybe they're not into it. If they don't like chocolate, I'm not going to ask them to support my chocolate making business, But as a friend, I was always supporting other people's small business. Even if it wasn't something I wanted, it was because maybe I know someone who would like your stuff, so I was sharing it for you.
Right.
And I wasn't getting that in return, and it hurt. It hurt for a long time.
Your flea bites you the hardest, huh?
Yeah. And I was, again, like I said, listening to Les Brown, and he was saying, your community is not necessarily your customers. So I had to separate that. It's the people who helped make you who you are, who were around you, are not necessarily the people who is your market. And I had to just kind of let go and be like, okay, I'm not going to take it personal anymore when my friends don't share. And I'm just going to do this because I know I'm destined to do this, and I'm excited to do it. So I'm doing it for me now. So
with that, Al, you've been doing this for as long as almost like Tiffany's been around, right? Right? And again, I'll be mindful. Sheridan Road is right there. We would come from football, walk through there, and sometimes go up in the back and get a meal. And there were good days. We ran, we played. But you were consistent. You were dedicated. You were diligent. Is it because in your mind, you're blazed the trail, you're the Renaissance man, you don't really, my words, you don't really care. Yeah, this is who you are. You know where you are, and you got to do this thing because this is important. You've just that driven, Or what was it?
Well, with me, I was raised by a strong woman, right? And my mama, she tell me nothing could stop. Don't make anybody tell you that you can't do this or do that, right?
Mama's hands, huh?
Yeah, growing up and she just tell me I'm the best thing, you know. So and I just that what she instilled in me, I just keep going, and I just had that confidence, and I, as I said, I like always secretly clap for myself, right? And I never looked validation. So I just feel that whatever I create, I mean, it's good and it's my passion, right? So who are you to tell me that I can't do this or do that, right? And that's my mindset. That's how I go through life with confidence and not being arrogant or anything, but I just feel that's just my nature, right? And in Cayman, most people wouldn't know that I did the piece in town with the two women, or women celebrating 50 years of women rights to vote, right? And I mean, when the government approached me about this stuff, and I mean, I designed a piece in my own light, but it was more too abstract for them. So they wanted something more realistic. So that's why we end up with this piece.
Inspiration, is it?
Aspiration. Yeah. So I had to go to Orlando to do that. Yeah. I mean, me and Horatio Esteban was got a scholarship from the National Gallery to go to Italy. So we studied bronze in Tuscany, right? So that's how we ended up in American Bronze Foundry to create this piece with these two ladies in town. So
at some point, and cut to the bag, one of the reasons why I reached out to Al a number of times because I wanted to come on. One of the things that we don't do enough of, and why I commend Al for it, in a sense, we're not willing to bang our gongs. We're not willing to stand up because I think we've seen by so doing as arrogant and blowhards and self-promoting, and yet the other person from somewhere else doing it is expected, accepted, and celebrated. Thankfully, your mother, like mine, like many, have championed us and kept us straight, but said, listen, nobody, fool you or frighten you. You can be anything. You just need to work hard. Just don't think that you can get it for sure, right? Dr. Frank's comments earlier, really, really, I appreciate him saying it publicly because I don't take it on board as much as, almost 30 years ago, he said to me, this is what you need to do. Had I listened to him, maybe I would have been different and better, right? But that piece, Al, that's an amazing piece. It is one of the most important pieces that we have in our country. I say, and if it's wrong and it's improper, I want to be corrected and guided. I say that piece could be 50 million feet high and 50 million feet wide, and it still won't be big enough.
Exactly.
To embody what our women are.
Yeah.
And yet, I bet you, just what you said just then, there are people going, I didn't know Al did that. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Right? Which is unfortunate. Yet there's some 2-bit no good pieces of nickel money pace that are being celebrated in Cayman, in China, in California, in Canada, because of who they are, not what they are. Yet something as important as this is tucked away, in a sense, in plain sight. Anyway, I'll be careful.
Yeah. I mean, I always get that because people see my work and it's like, man, if you was in New York or this place or that, you would be this or that. And I always tell them, I mean, I'm from Cayman. I want to conquer Cayman. I'm not really looking to go someplace else. Right? So being recognized in your own places
is more important, right?
It's important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man. Well, when we come back, we'll talk about it. We got someone who's asking, and I'll ask Al, if both of you are willing to share. Where are your respective sort of residences, your artistic residences, your workplaces?
Okay.
Al's very, perhaps more accessible, yet tucked away on the main road. So we can talk about it. One listener says, hi, that's the former Miss Cayman. Make sure to tell him hello for me. All right, we're going to pause and take that break. And if I can, on behalf of these two wonderful artists, extend a public invitation for next Friday. We'll tell you when we return. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Department of Agriculture advises Cayman Brack residents of their plant sale on Saturday, March 26 from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the agricultural grounds on Songbird Drive on the Bluff. A variety of herbs and spices, vegetable seedlings, and fruit trees will be available. Cash is required for all plant purchases. For more information, call 948-0522 or visit their Facebook or Instagram page at Agriculture Cayman.
Research tells us that the best age for parents to start having conversations with their children about the dangers of underage drinking is when their kids are 9 years old. Studies show that parents have a significant influence on young people's decision to drink. So talk, they are listening. The NDC offers parents advice on how to talk to their children about underage drinking and prepares you for the tough questions like, did you drink as a child? For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And please, not just enjoy the conversation, not just live, love, laugh, and learn with us, but accept the invitation next Friday, the 1st of April, the Mercedes-Benz showroom in Industrial Park, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m.
To 9.
And 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah, not a 5, 4 to 9. But all month long, but especially the opening night, the art showcase, Tiffany Connolly and Ali Banks. And I look at the artists, not just the native sons and daughters. I look at all the community, and we have great talent. But here's a chance for 2 more to be showcased.
Mm-hmm.
So next week, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
It's super close.
Without giving it too much, I mean, I'm familiar with both of your works.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you allowed me to say, hey, you're not off. I feel a similarity. Styles are complementary but different, but the energy is what I related to.
Yeah.
So you bring a lot of your passion and who you are into this piece, right? Or into your pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think we were saying before that the direction we make our art from, the energy we're using to pour into our art is similar. Because I felt the same. I was saying before that I feel similar looking at Al's art that I do when I look at my own. And it's like you said, they're very different styles. We have different styles and techniques, but that feeling that they emit, that they give to people is what's similar and what connects them. And I'm experimenting with some new styles as well, so I hope that they give out the same energy. So I'm really excited to share all of that.
Is it okay? And I'll leave it to you, because sometimes it's not just a preview, but some people, if you tell them a little bit, think they got enough information so they don't need to see. For others, you got to tell them a little bit so that they get curious enough to come. So I'll leave it to you to share. But you first, Al. For those who are familiar with the pieces, what would they see? Anything different? For those who aren't, what will this particular exhibition be for you? Or what will be fun?
For some reason, because I'm always paint, and I paint in series, because one piece can't really tell the story that I'm trying to tell, right? And if I show a piece before, I kind of feel that I don't want to show it again. So I need to create something else. So, and that's how I try to like shock the people. Because even going back to school, I had problem with that like structure, right? People like, well, you got to paint within the box, right?
No.
And I always want to mark up the box. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I have have this clothing line called Brush, because I always like to paint up my clothes. So I reproduce my artwork on fabric and make clothes, right? So that's what I want to, like, when I have a show. Because in, like, 3 years ago, I was supposed to celebrate my 30 years, right? And I just feel that, well, I wasn't ready because I didn't really have anything great that I would shock, and right? And I was 33 years, and I want to, have a lot of stuff on hand that I want to really come out and show. So hopefully people would see something different. And
I look at you, I look at Bendel, for instance, and I think we all use Bendel as the benchmark, for instance, whether it's the academic sort of professional training, whether it's intuitive ability and the like. But you both persevered. Different strokes, different folks. But all with you though, you seem to have, I think back to a couple of your comments then about the class and not even painting outside the box, but even mashing up the box and taking a new one. You had that approach always. Let me see it. Not always embraced by our community, but you knew what you wanted, where you were going. What separates someone like that who says, you know what, this is me, this is what I could be like it or lump it, and one day you'd appreciate it?
I just have this, I wouldn't say no care attitude, but I just feel that this is me, right? This is my passion and what I put out. You like it or you don't, but it's coming from me. Right? And that's how I approach stuff. Again, going back to like painting in series and all that kind of stuff. In the 90s, when we did an interview and the person asked, like, where's the boats? Where's the coconut trees? It's like, I said, well, I don't really paint coconut trees or boats, right? But if you look into my work, you might see boats and coconut trees, because all of my work is based on my experience growing up in Cayman. Even though it might be abstract, you have to look in to see that stuff, because everything I put on stroke, it look familiar. Right? It's just your mindset that have to really.
Would you say then that even if we were to take 10 pieces and a few of them were yours and a few others, that we would be able, you have a style, we would be able to look at and say, definitely be able to this is Al, right? And those who know you would know. I even think back to Ray Banker and stuff, to Gordon Solomon's, and just ran this or that, just for you quickly. Very discernible, but so too is Tiffany. Your stuff is distinct. Picasso is Picasso, right? There's no question. When I saw Dali's work first time, I thought, wow, it's almost the same thing consistently. So that's that, but it's fresh. So are you saying that you now know your worth, you know your value, and has it always been that case?
Well, I was telling Tiffany earlier, if you walk into my studio, some might say like, there's like 20 different artists in here, but it's all my work. Right? And from day one, I put a price on my work, because I said to her that I know I didn't want to be a Toyota, I wanted to be a Mercedes-Benz. And that's how I set my range. Because back then I had $10,000 pieces, right? And someone has a $500 piece, and my $10,000 piece might sell, because most people think that it's a price that really, or because it's cheaper, someone would buy it. But collectors don't really look at the price or whatever. They look at the piece. The appeal. And that's the way I...
Yeah, but you know your worth, because I think, Tiff, that's one of the challenges that many people have, whether they're selling. Okay.
Me.
Okay.
You're trying to be nice, but me, I am the person who has that problem.
Okay. Talk to us, Miss Tiffany. We're listening.
I was telling him that my cousin knows him very well. They went to school together. And when he saw my pieces, he was like, oh, yeah, this would be nice. You can get a nice studio just from selling 2 or 3 of these. And he's like, what's the price on these? And I was like, oh, that one's $25 and that one's $80. And he was like,
dollars?
Yeah. And he was like, dollars? I was like, yeah. And I was like, I did the whole calculation of materials and time and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, did you forget experience. These are one of a kinds. You could never replicate this.
Yeah.
And he went on this whole rant.
There you go.
And so I've been getting better, and I hope that over time I can get that confidence. Because funny enough, everyone thinks I'm confident. And I'm just faking it till I make it. And I think I'm a lot closer to making it than I am.
You hang with me now?
Yeah.
Look at you.
That's what I'm looking at, yeah.
No, but I'm glad you say that. And this is the vulnerability. This is when you feel a sense of safety. But this is when we need to be willing to draw alongside and nurture, right? Another car dealer had a particular showcase long ago. I had hair back then. And I was standing next to the artist who happened to have been a classmate. And I just loved the piece.
Mm-hmm.
The piece was not expensive in a sense. If anything, it was probably undervalued. It was more than I could afford. I mean, on my salary at that time. And I wanted to buy it. Not because one day this could be a famous person and I'll have a collection. Not because I want to show off. But because this piece was actually singing and dancing and waving and flagging in front of me. And I looked at it and understanding the importance of when you talk to the chef who's making a meal that you're sitting with, you can get to learn. I'm talking to this fellow with great respect. I think he'll say to this day, I've never been otherwise, right? But I said, I see this. And he said, man, I don't know what you were smoking, but I didn't see that, right? And I started to see it, and he looking in, and he was telling me what. But this piece spoke to me. The colors, the vibrancy, the dancing. Like the one piece that Al has, I think I saw it just recently. It isn't what it is on the wall. It is what it is to your eyes.
Exactly.
Right? And so if
in
we
your
can,
imagination.
Yeah. And it made me realize, you know what? I may not be imaginative when it comes to sitting on a canvas or a sculpture, but I may be imaginative when I look in the mirror and go, man, that's a handsome fella. You got to be imaginative, right? So for Friday next, right, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. and all month long, as the wider community comes out and celebrates the opening night, what do you want them to feel and do when they come, and what do you want to leave with as they return time and again?
I want to say that when you come into the show, I don't want to speak for Al, but this is definitely how I feel.
Yeah.
When you come in, I want you to remember that it was a blank canvas. Because I think oftentimes we just see the piece that's in front of us and we forget that work and it was created. It didn't just appear. So I think remembering, like when you come in, remember it was a blank canvas and that artist had to create that image in their head and had to transpose it onto the canvas. And when you leave, I want you to remember that you didn't come in there with seeing those things and having those thoughts. You've now learned and gained something. And I want everyone to come in with an open mind, open eyes, and when you walk through those doors to kind of just erase everything that's outside and to just feel what's inside. Don't compare it to something else. Don't even compare my work to Al or my work to my own work. Just look at each piece as itself, as we should look at each other as ourselves.
Okay.
So
what about you?
For me, I like, again, the shock factor, right? Because going back, like with Tiffany, bringing a more kind of local audience, because I've been doing this for a while, and you don't really see that Caymanians come out to really support the shows and stuff like that. So that would be a nice spin to see Caymanians come out and really say, like, well, I didn't know this was happening in Cayman, and so that's kind of why I look forward to when I have a show and stuff like that. So hopefully
and come out, and if you can, I try, but I don't always succeed. Bring your checkbooks too, your debit cards. But I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's where we need to get that space where take track meets, for instance. We have some wonderfully gifted, athletes, but the stands are rarely
packed.
But for the parents and the extended family members or the individual who feels obligated to make an appearance, we're not performing to a packed stadium, and our artists are sort of relegated to the sidelines.
Yeah, the track meet, I went up last week to the track meet.
Yeah.
And the stand was empty.
15 people.
Yeah.
5 of them were paid to be there. Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, but and I say that because I think so many of us are guilty of that. We make justifiable excuses for conflicts in the schedule, for being busy. I truly get that.
Yeah.
Right? And I say that publicly as an admonishment for myself to make a more concerted effort, But I also ask ourselves, like has happened to many of us, when we go to these events, we believe people are looking at us and say, "Oh, I think he is that."
Yeah.
When for me, it's an appreciation to expand the mind, to build better bridges, and to actually appreciate what we have in our fold. Go back to 100 years from now, we're going to be sitting around talking with our great-grandchildren, and they can say, "Well, you guys are friends." We go back to way back when, the people that we celebrate now, that the artworks are in hundreds of millions or tens of millions. They were just little people running about the place at one point,
Yeah.
That could be us, right? No. Think about it. I mean, just a thought.
That's how I tried.
It's like
I
when
try
I
to think about it.
like driving on a Lion Tree Bay roundabout to see my pieces, and it's never dawned on me that I have a roundabout with my work on it.
Yeah.
When you see Ali Bank's name there and these pieces there, and for some reason I pride myself on humility, but I know what I'm worth.
Right.
But when someone say, "Oh well," to explain a roundabout and stuff like that, it's like.
Here is something, though, that I think we need, and, irrespective of your position, your office, if you're offended, you can call me privately and you can, share with me so that I understand what I said and maybe you understand the intent. But you look at that roundabout and the celebration that it should have, the pride it should bring to you, and the way it should motivate the rest of us. Now, if that roundabout was named after somebody else, or if the work in that roundabout was by somebody else who came from wherever, whether they're better than you because, that's how it's defined, not that they would be, we would look at that with a greater sense of respect and pride. Gee, who he man was? He went to school with me, right? And with the roads that we name, the buildings that we name, the people we give awards to, the eventual reconditioning, retooling, some would say almost as if we have a significant cultural shift. So no longer we can look and see and sound and sense that the people that are representative are who. Yeah. Sorry, was that political?
Go back to I have a piece going back 20-something years ago. I have a piece at the governor's house in the garden.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm still up to this day. I'm still waiting to be paid from the government for that.
Yeah. Soon come.
Soon come. Right.
I think there was a paper done on that.
But the last minister told me, if I don't have patience with government, dog eat the supper. Let's say after 25 years, if that's not patience, I don't know what you would call that. But again,
the new building got a piece in it anyway. Let it be.
There's so much stuff we could talk about. But
I think one thing I did want to say is I look at other countries, and when they have their sporting events or any celebration, they have like a chant, or they all have something that they all know to do, a certain way that they clap or a certain way they stomp their feet. Cayman doesn't have that because we've not created our own culture. If that,
well, the pride is not there.
Yeah, really. There's no. They say we have Caymanian pride and Cayman kind and all this stuff, but is it
Cayman kind for other people?
Yeah, is it though? So is it about Caymanians, or is it about what Caymanians can do for others? We need to find out what we can do as Caymanians for Caymanians before we can.
Well, I always appreciate the people that really that show it. So I'm not really trying to look. Yeah. I mean, people to really embrace me or that. I just appreciate the people that really come out and support.
But I think, like many, we need as a people to start to respect and love ourselves and extend that to each other. I felt led. It's just been impressed in my spirit for 2+ years now to talk about unity in the last few months, to talk about love. We live in a country where it's probably the best place in the world. There are all these people. But there is a growing divide that we have somehow been prepared to ignore. And if we're not mindful, it'll slap us in the face so soon that we will forget where did it come from. Yeah. And it's for every single person who lives and works here, whether they go back generations, whether they've been here for 10 years, or whether they just recently come out of house arrest, right? Or they're on the flight, they're landing this afternoon.
Exactly.
If you don't collectively, concertedly make a consistent effort to make this place the very best, it will never be, right? And there's too much disrespect
There's too many people who are thinking, oh, he'll do it. I don't have to do it because he'll do it. But he's sitting over there thinking, I don't got to do it because she'll do it.
Right.
And it's exhausting.
If not knowing.
Turn around about it. It's about unity. It's called Together We Stand.
Yeah. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, as an individual, I stand tall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Together we stand strong.
Yeah, man.
And that's what I was trying to show in that piece, right?
Yeah.
It's a man and woman standing together and unity.
It's interesting. I've had some interesting discussions about that piece. I crossed it many times for the week, consciously. Maybe I'll share with you some of those perspectives. But God's willing, next Friday,
yes,
we'll see you guys 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
To 9 p.m.
Mercedes-Benz Showroom, Industrial Park.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks to Mercedes and Jason Kennedy for the invitation, and hopefully we have a good show.
Well, it's a great collaborative effort. The both of you are complementary. Your works are distinct, but I think the energy is evident. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for accepting the invite, Ms. Tiffany. Publicly, thank you for that charisma and charm that you have to been able to bring the legendary Al into the studio. Al, thanks for coming on board, man.
Right. Always good to talk to you.
Yes, it's always nice to be here, Sterling.
It's an honor. And for our people, as I close out today, let's find a way that we can come together and we showcase and celebrate true art. We appreciate and respect the service and sacrifices of those who have gone before. But as Tiffany said, if not now, when? If not me, who? Something needs to be done. Let's do it. If you know something, share something so that others are empowered and encouraged. Let's respect. That it's us who make a difference. Is it a positive or negative one? Well, check your spirit. All right. Tomorrow is Friday, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Again.
I got a plan for tomorrow. Let's see if it's a good one. Join Mr. Art in the morning for the record. Come back for Talk Today right after the midday news. And until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside.